Hello and welcome to cEDH Portuguese League. This week we bring you the second round from our last tournament, Battle for the Plateau, featuring Animux playing Tymna Jeska Mad Farm list. Utilizing Tymna for card advantage and Jeska not only for crowd control but also to assemble a Bomberman or Underworld Breach line to create infinite mana and kill the entire table. Guilherme playing Kenrith the Returned King. This is a deck that seeks to maximize one card combo lines such as Ad Nauseam, Underworld Breach or Oath of Druids, being able to win as early as turn 1 or turn 2. Francisco is playing Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger, which consists on assembling Reanimator loops with World Gorger Dragon and its commander to win the game. Gambas is playing Koll, the Forge Master. This is a mid-range deck that seeks to create infinite dying triggers, taking advantage of cards such as Altar of Dementia and Blasting Station to kill its opponents. Guilherme mulliganed 4 times and kept a starting hand with a Windswept Teeth and a Morphic Pool for lands, a Brain Freeze and a Demonic Tutor to get some value. Francisco mulliganed twice and kept a hand with a Badlands and an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth for lands, a Talisman of Indulgence for ramp, a Faithless Looting for card advantage, a Reverberate and a Necrogen Mist. Gambas kept his first hand with a Mountain, a Mana Vault and a Talisman of Conviction for ramp, a Silence as interaction, an Enlightened Tutor to fetch for some value, and an Altar of Dementia and a Crimson Kobolds. Animux also mulliganed twice and kept the hand with a Spire of Industry, an Exotic Shards, and a Polluted Delta for lands, a Fellwar Stone for ramp, an Imperial Seal and a Tainted Pact. Let the second round begin. Guilherme wins the roll and goes first, playing a Windswept Teeth, fetching for a Bayou and losing 1 life, passing to Francisco. Francisco plays a Badlands and ships the turn. Gambas plays a Sacred Foundry, taking 2 damage, followed by a Mana Vault and a Talisman of Conviction, and finishing the turn with an Altar of Dementia. Animux, on his turn, he plays a Polluted Delta, fetching for a Badlands, and after that he casts an Imperial Seal, losing 2 life, putting a card on top of his library and passing the turn. Guilherme plays a Flooded Strand, fetching for a Volcanic Island, and passes the turn with open mana just in case. Francisco then moves to his turn and plays an Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, followed by a Talisman of Indulgence and passing to Gambas. On his upkeep, Mana Vault triggers and Gambas takes 1 damage. On his main phase, he plays a Mountain and casts his commander, Koll, shipping the turn to Animux. He starts his turn by playing an Exotic Orchard, then a Dockside Extortionist. It resolves, creating 4 treasures. He proceeds to play his commander Tymna the Weaver before ending his turn. Moving to Guilherme's turn, he plays a Morphic Pool and casts a Toxic Deluge, paying 2 life and destroying all the creatures on the table. On his end step, Francisco plays a Vampiric Tutor, losing 2 life and fetching for a card to the top of its library. On his turn, Francisco plays a Dolphy Voidwalker and simply passes the turn. On his end step, Gambas loses 1 life and plays an Enlightened Tutor, exiling it with a Void counter, and fetches for a Sigh of the Shinobi to the top and moves to his turn. On his upkeep, he takes 1 damage from the Mana Vault, and on his main phase, he simply plays a Sigh of the Shinobi and passes the turn. Animux draw, and plays a Spire of Industry, casting Oriok Salvages and finishing the turn. Guilherme untaps, and decides to save some mana in case some interaction is needed. Francisco then starts his turn by playing a Faithless Looting, drawing 2 cards and discarding a Necrogen Mists and a Rakdos Signet. After that, he plays a Sulphur Springs and moves to combat, sending his Dothy at Gambas for 3 damage, and on his second main phase, he plays a Mindblade Render and passes to Gambas. On his upkeep, he takes 1 damage again from the Mana Vault, and on his main phase he plays a Jeska's Will, targeting Guilherme to add 4 red mana to his mana pool. In response, Guilherme plays a Swan Song, countering it. Gambas then creates a 2/2 bird and equips it to the side, and ends his turn. On his main phase, Animux plays a Fellwar Stone, and then he scares the table by casting a Tainted Pact. He proceeds to exile cards from the top of his library until he finds a lead, putting it into his hand and exiling the Tainted Pact with a Void counter. After that, he plays it and ends his turn. Guilherme untaps and chooses to play defense by passing the turn. Francisco moves to his turn and straight to combat, sending his Mindblade Render at Guilherme, dealing 1 damage, triggering it to lose 1 life and draw a card, and after that he passes the turn to Gambas. On his upkeep, he takes 1 damage from the mana vault and decides not to play anything. Animux starts his turn by playing a Marsh Flat. After that, he plays his second commander Jeska, activating immediately its ability, dealing 2 damage at Guilherme, Gambas and to the Dothy. Before the damage resolves, Francisco activates Dothy's ability, playing Gambas Enlightened Tutor before it dies. Animux loses 1 life and fetches for a Scrubland before the Enlightened Tutor resolves. The tutor then resolves, putting a Waste Knot on top of its library, resolving the damage from Jeska. Animux then plays his own Enlightened Tutor, fetching for an Underworld Breach to the top of his library as well. After that, he tries to go off by sacrificing his lead and discarding his hand for 3 white mana, and tries to activate Auriok Savage's ability to return lead to his hand. But Gambas responds with a silence to the activated ability. Animux puts the lead in his hand and passes the turn. Guilherme plays a Mana Crypt and passes the turn. Francisco, on his turn, goes straight to combat, sending Mindblade Render at Guilherme for 1 damage, drawing 1 card and losing 1 life. On his second main phase, he plays a Waste Knot, leaving mana open just in case. Gambas moves to his turn, and on his upkeep, he takes again 1 damage since he has no way to untap the mana vault. On his main phase, he plays a Grand Abolisher and moves to combat, sending his bird at Animux for 3 damage. After damage, he sacrifices the bird to the Altar of Dementia, getting rid of the Underworld Breach. On his second main phase, he plays a Kroxa Kobolds, triggering the size ability, equipping it, and ending his turn. Animux, on his turn, decides to go straight to combo, casting Lead again, to which Francisco immediately responds with a Dismember, targeting Auriok Salvagers. Since he has no way to stop it, the Dismember resolves, stopping Animux for the second time. After that, he plays Jeska again, activating its ability, killing the Grand Abolisher, Kroxa Kobolds and Mindblade Render. On Animux end step, Guilherme takes advantage of the amount of interaction spent, and decides to play a Brain Freeze, targeting himself to mill 12 cards. After that, he moves to his turn, and he plays a City of Brass, and goes for a Demonic Tutor, fetching for a card to his hand. And he follows with a Crop Rotation, sacrificing a Morphic Pool, fetching for an Ancient Tomb. He taps the Tomb, taking 2 damage to play a Mnemonic Betrayal. Not surprised, there's no answers, and now he has access to all of its opponent's graveyards and can attempt to go off. He starts by playing a Dockside Extortionist, creating 8 treasures. He then counts the spells that were played this turn and plays a Kroxa Kobolds. He also plays a Silence to make sure that he is safe. Since there is no answers, he finally plays an Underworld Bridge. After that, he plays an Enlightened Tutor to fetch for his own lead, putting it into the top of his library and recasting Brain Freeze, exiling 3 cards from his graveyard, targeting himself again, this time milling 27 cards. After that, he plays his lead from the graveyard and sacrifices it, discarding a Final Fortune, triggering Francisco's Waste Knot to draw cards. Guilherme then plays his land 2 more times and plays an Auriok Salvages and explains the table that he has an infinite combo for colored mana. He plays his commander and puts enough activations of Kenrith on the stack, targeting his opponents. GG. Guilherme can now sacrifice his lead, generating 3 white mana, netting always 1. This way, he can make infinite white mana and start to sacrifice his lead now for other colors. With his commander Kenrith on the battlefield, he activates its ability, forcing his opponents to draw more than their libraries, winning the game this way. Congratulations! Next week, we'll have our third round featuring SplitSecond's Bal playing Kenrith, the Returned King, Diogo playing Cass, Dissident Mage, Palma playing Ishai Jeska, and Pina playing Najila, the Blade Blossom. Remember, you can always be a part of our community and enter our tournaments by joining our Discord channel, linked in the description below, or by following us on Facebook or Instagram. If you like our content, you can always support us by hitting the like button and subscribing. See you in the next one. We would like to thank the SplitSecond for the partnership and the Kenrith for providing us the place to run our tournaments. Thank you very much, and we hope you enjoyed.